What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new live stream. I hope everyone had a good Christmas and are ready for the new year. Tomorrow is the last day of 2025. But basically, we will start off this stream with Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2 review. And the finale, like the final episode of the show, making predictions for that. Then I'll get into my NFL stuff and talk about some NBA games, and then that'll be pretty much it. But start off reviewing Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2. We'll go episode by episode. So I'm going to start off with obviously episode 5. Should get it pulled up though. So 1 second. Yeah, the trailer for the finale came out today. That was pretty cool. All right, never mind. I'll just do it like this. Start off with episode 5. Now picks up right where we left off. With episode 4, I thought episode 4 was, one of the best episodes in the show. I'd say like fringe top 15. Episode 4 was really good. You had a lot of great action scenes. You had some good comedy in there with Derek. You have Will using powers to save Lucas, Robin, Murray, and Mike from the Demogorgons. So I thought it was just a solid episode. And you have the Max and Holly stuff in Vecna's mind. Yeah, it was just a pretty good episode. But then it just follows up with a boring, not really necessarily boring, just this episode just felt like very slow to me. Like I feel like majority of the episode was like, them just trying to come up with another plan, and that's kind of been the big issue throughout the season is like a lot of the times they're just trying to come up with a plan. Like it just gets kind of repetitive. You know what I'm saying? I don't think episode 5 was a bad episode. It was kind of just a mid episode for me. Obviously you have Derek and the rest of the kids end up are trapped in Vecna's mind, and he's trying to manipulate them and stuff. So Holly goes out to find Max, and then Derek follows them, so they get Derek on their side. Eventually Henry Vecna discovers what Max is actually doing with Holly. You had some good action scenes. Like I like the end, like the back end of this episode where like Will gets into the hive mind and takes over Vecna, breaks his leg. That was a cool scene. And tells Max to run. I thought that was done really well. Then Henry fights back. So I thought that part was probably the best part of the episode, to be honest. Other than that, really not much. You have Steve, Dustin, Nancy, Jonathan, and the Upside Down bickering again. Then Steve and Dustin get into another argument over Eddie. Then Dustin gets mad, lashes out at Steve, and they get into a fight. They break the walkie-talkie, and then they just, walk away from each other. And then Dustin realizes he was wrong, so he tries to get to Nancy and Jonathan, but it's too late, and they shoot the plasma thing, whatever the frick it's called, and bunch of goo goes everywhere. It's episode pretty much ends off there. Yeah, 11, Hopper, and Collie, which can I just say, why the frick do they bring this character back? Like, why do they even make this character? Like, she is so insufferable. Like, she's probably the worst character in the entire show, if I'm being honest. Like, she's just so annoying. It's just like, bro, shut up. Like, geez. But yeah, I thought it was an alright episode. Episode 6, probably the best episode we got out of the 3. 11, Hopper and Collie leave the Upside Down. 11 reunites with Mike and everybody else. Will is trapped with Vecna, and Vecna uses Will to figure out where Max is. Which I thought the best part of the episode was the hospital scenes where they go to like rescue Max. and Robin tells Vicky the truth, and that's when the Demodogs attack, and Lucas has to get Max out of there. It was a really good scene, really good action. The only issue is when they're like hiding behind the thing and the Demodogs are like walking around, he still has the music blasting. I'm like, how the frick do the Demodogs not hear that? It is so loud. And they're kind of just looking around aimlessly, like they have no clue what's going on. Like, how the frick do they not hear that? And even Robin says, like, we have to turn it off. And Lucas is like, no, I need to keep it on to keep the portal open. Another issue is when Max and Holly are trying to escape. When they make it to the portal, they take like, I kid you not, like 25 minutes to have like this big yap chest. I'm like, shut the fuck up and just run through the portal. Like, and when she does run, she does like a jog and stuff. I'm like, why is she running so slow? Like, I just don't get it. Then what else happened in this episode? Oh yeah. Stuff in the Upside Down with Jonathan and Nancy. I thought that was a beautiful scene. Really well acted. Unfortunately, the writers coming out and saying that it was a breakup, that totally just tanks the scene for me. Because what I thought it was like, them saying like, we don't have to get married. We don't have to rush to marriage. We can just take our time and fix this. And they were literally saying that they love each other. So that, like, I did not take that as a breakup. And the fact that you have to like come out and like clarify that's a breakup scene, that's just bad writing. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Yeah, they eventually get Will to wake up. And this episode pretty much ends with Max running through the portal. So I thought it was a solid episode. Definitely not my favorite. Probably not one of my favorite episodes, but I thought it was, the best out of the three that we got. I'm like, okay, we might actually be going in a positive direction. But on to episode 7. Oh boy. Episode 7 is one of the worst penultimate episodes I've ever seen. Now, I'm sure you're wondering what do I mean by that. When I say penultimate episode, it's what I mean is the episode right before the series finale. So like this episode was hyped up a lot. It's the episode right before the finale. Expect them to, be like a setup for, the final episode of the show. It'd be like the Infinity War to Endgame, or you look at Breaking Bad. Really, the last 2 episodes set up everything perfectly for the series finale. This episode wasn't that at all. Now, I thought the beginning of the episode was really good. I love the scene of Max waking up and the emotion that Lucas is showing, and like seeing them together again was really good. And then 11 comes in and she's like, "Oh, you're here!" Like, what? Like, it felt so emotionless. I'm like, she literally resurrected Max. She brought her back to life. Like, and then she's showing no emotion whatsoever. Like, I just don't get that. And then the rest of this episode is just so like slow, just so poorly paced. Like, you have Holly trying to escape, Vecna. She gets out of Dimension X and she falls into the Upside Down, but she's about to fall to Nancy. But then Vecna stops her and pulls her right back, and then just brings her right back to Dimension X. I'm like, really? So, she's trapped in his mind again, and then Vecna manipulates the other kids except for Derek. So they try to go talk to her, and then she's trying to convince everybody that Henry's the bad one, not Max, but they're all against her. So then she goes to Derek, and you see Derek conflicted. He wants to like be on her side and like say like she's right, but unfortunately he remembers Henry's threat. So he's like, they're right, Holly. No, I really don't think you can be mad at Derek for that because, he was scared, for his family. You know what I'm saying? But then Holly acts like you guys are right. And then she takes the thing and smacks that girl in the face. And then she, tries to get out of the house, but then they all attack her and stuff. And then we don't see her again until the end of the episode. But other than that, this episode was just really boring, really slow. Get Max on a wheelchair. They get Mr. Clark on their side. You have some military dialogue as well with Dr. K and that dude. And then this is probably one of the cringiest scenes I've ever seen, where you have Will have like an emotional sit down with literally everybody during like the end of the world where like people could be dying. And he goes and says, guys, I don't like girls. I mean, I don't like girls the way you do. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, this is not the time nor the place. Like, why couldn't this wait until after they destroy the Upside Down and Vecna? Like, why does this happen right now? And then, like, he breaks down crying, and then everybody hugs him, and then he goes over to Max to hug her because she can't walk. Like, it's just like, what are we doing? Really, nothing much happens in this scene. They come up with another plan. So they get into Murray's truck. They drive right through the military, and Nancy shoots at the military, and then they just drive right into the Upside Down. Then we see a shot of Vecna controlling Holly, Derek, and all the other kids, and the episode pretty much just ends there. And I just kind of just sat there in disappointment. Like, I'm like, that's it, really? So, yeah, this was not a good batch of episodes. I'm very disappointed. They really only have 2 hours to like wrap everything up. So don't be surprised if there's a lot of storylines left unanswered or unfinished. It's probably going to be hit or miss. I no doubt that the Duffer Brothers will go all out and try to make this, a really good episode. It's either going to be a really great episode, a 10 out of 10, and the best episode in the whole show, or it's going to be really disappointing, be a bottom 3 episode. So as it comes for predictions, I really don't know at this point. I have no clue what they're going to do. What I assume is going to happen is the group goes in there and their plan's going to fail somehow. So they're going to have to come up with a backup plan somehow. Hopper and 11 are probably going to go after Vecna and Dimension X because we saw a shot of that in the trailer. They're either going to go on a massacre of characters, which they should not do, or everyone's going to get out just fine. They're probably going to find out about Kali wanting her and 11 to sacrifice themselves while the Upside Down gets destroyed. I have a feeling, I think it's, blatantly obvious that Kali's going to betray 11 and everyone else in some sort of way. So I would expect that. There's also like this big monster that people are theorizing about. It's not Vecna, it's not the Mind Flayer. I forget what it's called, but it's like a dragon of some sort, like a 3-headed dragon or something like that. I don't know what it is. But I've seen theories that like that's the final villain, not the Mind Flayer or Vecna. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But obviously Vecna has to die. The Upside Down has to be destroyed. I think 90 minutes is going to be focused on that, and then we're probably going to get like a big epilogue of, all the characters, saying farewell and stuff like that, and that's probably how the show is going to end. But regardless of how the finale does, it's set in stone that this is the worst season out of the 5. Kind of reminds me of Cobra Kai in a way. The first 2 volumes were very disappointing, or the first 2 parts, excuse me. They called them parts. The first 2 parts were very disappointing, but part 3 was really good. 11 and 12 were solid filler episodes, and then the last 3 episodes were peak. So I have a little bit of faith that this final episode will, be really, really good. And they'll end it well. But we'll have to wait and see. Only got 1 more day left. But that'll close out the Stranger Things segment. Go on to week 17 review. Just gotta pull up the games. Okay, so I'll start off with the Christmas games. And let me just say the Christmas games were not very good, if I'm being honest. So 2 games were on Netflix. One of them was on Amazon Prime. But first game, the Cowboys beat the Commanders in a meaningless game. Both teams are out of the playoffs. Yeah, it was looking like Dallas was going to run away with it early, but then the Commanders somehow find their way back into it. But Cowboys win it at the end. Just not that good of a game, to be honest. Then we have the Minnesota Vikings. They knock out the Detroit Lions out of the playoffs. Max Brosmer only had 51 passing yards, and the Vikings still won. Vikings won because of their defense. The Lions, I believe, had 6 turnovers. Like, Jared Goff looked horrible. They couldn't do anything. They had so many opportunities to score, to take the lead, to win the game, and they just completely failed. What a disappointment for the Detroit Lions. Man, there's a real possibility that they finish last in the division, but Josh Duhamel, who played Colonel Lennox in Transformers, he was at the game. He got to blow the Vikings horn and lead the skull chant. That was pretty awesome. But yeah, the Vikings stadium's a great atmosphere. Yeah, interesting offseason for both teams. And the Denver Broncos barely beat the Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs had their third-string quarterback. It was an all right game. Denver is probably the most fraudulent 1 seed I've ever seen. Like, just go look at their wins this year against, bad teams, and like they're just barely scraping by. Like, one game they had to score 30 plus in the fourth quarter to win it. Like I'm sorry, that is fraudulent. But yeah, just not that good. But that brings us to Saturday. I saw a little bit of the Chargers-Texans game, but CJ Stroud started off red hot. Started off the game with 2 touchdown passes to Iowa receivers Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. So it was 14-0. Chargers end up getting back into it. Stroud looked terrible in the second half. Lots of credit to Justin Herbert. Did his best against a very good Texans defense and a weak offensive line. Gave him a chance to win at the end, but came up short. Both teams are 11-5. They had a decent game, and the Baltimore Ravens dominate the Green Bay Packers. Both teams had their backup quarterback out. Derrick Henry had a phenomenal game. He had 3 or 4 touchdowns in the first half or something like that. But yeah, Derrick Henry played phenomenal. Ravens secure the win. They keep their playoff hopes alive. It's been a rough few weeks for the Packers. And Sunday, oh brother, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What a disappointment. The Buccaneers lose to the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, I don't know how the frick this happened. The Buccaneers fall off needs to be studied. Baker did not play that well. I know he had 300 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I don't know what is going on with the Bucs. They've lost 4 in a row now. They lost to the Saints. They lost to the Falcons. They lost to the Panthers last week, and now they lost to the Dolphins. I don't know what is going on. You lost to freaking Quinn Ewers. Seriously? Yeah, Bucs, basically, they need to beat Carolina on Saturday, and they need the Saints to beat the Falcons to get into the playoffs. So we're probably going to have a below 500 team win the NFC South. So whoever wins that division is getting knocked out in the wild card. Jaguars beat the Colts. It was a close game, but it's a division rivalry on the road. Trevor Lawrence did throw an interception for the first time since the Cardinals game. But yeah, I think Liam Cohen deserves Coach of the Year. This team was horrible last year. What a turnaround for the Jaguars. We'll see how they do in the playoffs, but yeah, it's been a good year for the Jaguars. Bengals beat the snot out of the Cardinals, 37-14. Yeah, just a rough year for Cardinals fans. They have the 5th pick in the draft currently. So we'll see what they do. Obviously, they've given up on Kyler Murray. So we'll see what the plan is at quarterback. I think they should fire Jonathan Gannon. And I'm surprised they didn't fire him after he punched his own player in the gut, but whatever. But yeah, Bengals better, get a defense this offseason because the AFC North is going to be wide open next year. And then classic Mike Tomlin choke game. Steelers only put up 6 points. They lose to the Browns with Shedeur Sanders. It just seemed like the Steelers were focused on just stopping Myles Garrett from getting the sack record. But yeah, all the Steelers had to do was win and get in, and they failed. And if they lose to the Ravens on Sunday, this game is going to come back to haunt them. But yeah, Browns defense won this game. Really, all I have to say, good thing I'm not a Steelers fan. But yeah, Saints beat the Titans. Tyler Shough versus Cam Ward. For a game that doesn't mean anything or doesn't matter, very entertaining game. I thought both teams played well. Tyler Shough played well. Cam Ward played well. It's a very entertaining game. I think both teams have, their quarterback for now. But yeah, pretty decent game. And then the Seahawks absolutely beat the crap out of the Panthers. It was competitive early, but Seahawks just closed it out in the second half. Bryce Young looked absolutely horrible in this game. 54 passing yards. That's just unacceptable. That is just disgusting. Yeah, Seahawks dominate this game. It's looking like they're going to end up with the number 1 seed. I think the Seahawks deserve a ton of credit. Sam Darnold's been good, although he wasn't that good in this game. He did throw an interception. Panthers defense did the best they could. So I feel bad for their defense because, the Panthers can't run the ball. They can't do anything on offense. But yeah, I just wish they had a quarterback that could feed McMillan the ball. So Bryce isn't the guy, and it's probably going to be a while until Carolina is going to find a quarterback that's good enough to help them win consistently. But okay, and then the Giants win the Tank Bowl. They destroy the Raiders. Absolutely pathetic game from the Raiders. They had no interest winning this game. They're just absolutely horrible. They shut down Max Crosby for the season. He's pissed off about it. So if I'm Max Crosby, I'm requesting a trade. And Brock Bowers didn't play in this game either. So the Raiders pretty much sat all their good players except for Genty to a degree, I guess. But yeah, just pathetic out from the Raiders. Giants absolutely steamroll them. They win this game. They drop down to the number 2 pick. The Raiders move up to the first overall pick. They play the Chiefs at home next week. So we'll see how that game goes. The Chiefs' third-string quarterback is going to have a legacy game. Guarantee it. But yeah, just an ugly season for the Raiders. And then the the Eagles beat the Bills. The Bills choked this game. The AFC East was on the line. The Bills needed to win this game to, keep up with the Patriots. Bills did come back late. They went for 2 and they didn't get it. And the Eagles escape. I believe they're only the second team this year to beat Buffalo on the road, besides the Pats. But despite the win, the players seemed frustrated with Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni seemed to be talking trash after they won that game. And the Eagles players, especially AJ Brown, were not having it. So there's still could be drama brewing in Philly. But yeah. And then I usually save the Pats game for last. But the Patriots absolutely dominate the Jets. They win the AFC East for the first time since Tom Brady's final season, 2019. But yeah, this game was over by halftime. It was 35-3 at halftime. So they really didn't need to do much. Drake May had pretty much a perfect game, 19 for 21, only 2 incompletions, 256 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So he played great. Travion Henderson, 19 carries for 82 yards. And Stephon Diggs, who's dealing with a legal issue right now, 6 catches, 101 yards, a touchdown. Ramondre with a touchdown. Hunter Henry with a touchdown. Afton Chisholm, the undrafted rookie, with a touchdown. Kyle Williams showed off some things. He did have a really bad drop, but it is what it is. And then Austin Hooper with a touchdown. But the defense, I think we only had 1 sack from Del Pettis. But yeah, the Jets are horrible. They might be the worst team in the league. Brady Cook is just not an NFL quarterback. He's horrible. Breece Hall probably going to leave in free agency. He doesn't want to be there anymore. 14 carries, 111 yards, and a touchdown. And John Mechie is leading you in receiving yards. There's a problem. But yeah, that's really it for this game. But yeah, best year as a Pats fan in a while. And then 49ers win a shootout against the Bears on Sunday Night Football. Keep in mind, the Niners did this without George Kittle, by the way. And Trent Williams was injured on the first play of the game. And they still found a way to win this game. So Kyle Shanahan's a really good coach. Bears deserve a lot of credit. First play of the game, Brock Purdy threw a pick 6. And they still found a way to win this game. So you got a big game on Saturday. Prime time. The Niners host the Seahawks. So I think it'll be a really good game. Sam Darnold was a backup for the Niners a couple years ago. So that'll be interesting. I could see it going either way, but whoever wins that game wins the NFC West and gets the number 1 seed in the NFC. And then Falcons-Rams. The Falcons pull off another upset. Matthew Stafford was absolutely horrendous in this game. He had 3 interceptions, threw 2 pick sixes. He is now tied with Brett Favre for the most pick sixes in NFL history. Disappointing game from the Rams. The Falcons were up 14-0 in this game. Bijan played phenomenal. Kirk Cousins was solid. He's proven that he can still be a serviceable starter in the NFL. So we'll see if Atlanta decides to keep him or make him a post-June 1st cut. But yeah, this takes the Rams out of winning the NFC West and getting the 1 seed. They play the Cardinals next week. They should win that game. But yeah, that is week 17, guys. Now we'll do week 18 picks. Okay, so starting off with the Saturday games, we got Carolina versus Tampa Bay. Call me crazy. I'm going with the Panthers. I would not be surprised if I got this wrong, but I am going to go with the Panthers. The Panthers want it more. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be entertaining, but that's what I'm going with. And then we got Seattle versus San Fran. I can see this game going either way, but I am going to pick Seattle to win. San Fran did win in week 1 at Seattle, but Seattle's actually a better road team than a home team, believe it or not. But I think it'll be a close game. 27-24. So those are the Saturday games. So then we'll move to Sunday. Rams versus the Cardinals. The Rams should win this game. Say 30-16. Rams take care of business. Then we got Vikings, Packers. I want to pick Vikings so bad, but if Max Brosmer's playing, I just can't pick them. Even though it's at their home, Malik Willis is a solid backup, so I'm going to take Green Bay. They got to get a win at some point, but hopefully it's better than the last game. They got Bears, Lions. I'm going to pick the Bears to win. Could be a shootout, but we'll see. But I'm going to pick the Bears to win. We got Falcons, Saints. Both teams have been playing well right now. I'm going to pick the Falcons since they're at home. I could see Saints winning, but we'll go Atlanta. Then we got Dallas versus the Giants. Give me the Cowboys. They own the Giants. Say 27-17. Eagles versus the Commanders. Eagles should win. Say 26-13. All right, then Chiefs versus the Raiders. I'm still going to pick the Chiefs. I think they're going to win. Raiders have like no motivation to win whatsoever. Broncos, Chargers. Unfortunately, the Chargers are sitting Justin Herbert out. Trey Lance is going to play, so Denver is going to get a free win here. Say like 21-10. All right, and then Texans versus the Colts. Give me the Texans at home. Riley Leonard is starting for the Colts. Jaguars versus the Titans. Give me the Jaguars. They destroyed them last time on the road. Then we got Bengals versus the Browns. I'm going to take the Bengals to win. It's like 33-20. Then we got the Bills versus the Jets. This is the Bills' last game at Orchard Park, Highmark Stadium, because next season they're going to be moving into a new stadium. They're wearing their red helmets. So the Bills are going to be motivated to win this game, and they're probably going to be playing. They're probably going to be playing for playoff positioning as well. They can't win the division, but they're going to try and move up to the 5 or 6 seed because right now they're the 7 seed. But I think they'll smack the Jets. And then Patriots playing the Dolphins in cold weather. Patriots could be, sitting some starters out. But I'm still going to pick the Patriots to win. Dolphins just do not play well in the cold at all. And then Ravens versus the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. It's for the division. I'm going to take the Ravens to win, regardless if it's Lamar Jackson or Tyler Huntley. Take the Ravens to win 23-19. Even though it is in Pittsburgh. So those are my picks. So there are the standings for, the final season. So this would be your playoff matchups. Patriots versus the Chargers in the cold at Gillette. Jaguars versus Bills at Jacksonville. That would be interesting. And Texans versus the Ravens in the playoffs in Baltimore. Then over the NFC, Carolina versus the Rams. We saw that earlier in the year, but playoffs are different from regular season. Then you got Eagles versus the Niners. And then you got the Bears versus the Packers. It's very interesting. And you look at division standings. Broncos win the AFC West. Patriots and Bills here. Jaguars win the AFC South first time since 2022. Ravens and Steelers both 9-8, but I guess the Ravens have the tiebreaker. Bengals 7-10. And Panthers 9-8. Falcons 8-9. So if the Panthers win and the Falcons win, the Bucs would actually fall to 3rd place in the division. Yikes. Then AFC or NFC East. Then the NFC North. The Lions actually fall to 4th place, just regardless of the Vikings win or not. And then NFC West. 3 teams make the playoffs, and then the Cardinals are all the way at the bottom. Man, I feel bad for Cardinals fans. But you just look at the draft order. The Raiders would get the first pick. Both New York teams in the top 3. Titans at 4, Cardinals at 5. Browns at 6, Commanders at 7, Saints at 8, Dolphins at 9, and the Chiefs would have a top 10 pick. And then the Bengals at 11, Bucks at 12, Rams at 13 via the Falcons, Lions at 14, Vikings at 15, Jets at 16 via the Colts, Cowboys at 17. This is their own pick. And then the Steelers at 18. All right, I gotta change the banner. So we'll pick up where we left off. All right, so Nets beat the Sixers. Hornets beat the Wizards. Bucks dominated the Pacers. Bulls beat the Hawks by 3. Hawks have been really disappointing. Apparently, they have a better record without Trae Young than that is not good. Cavs blow out the Pelicans. Raptors beat the Heat. Mavericks beat the Nuggets again. Timberwolves beat the Knicks. Nice. Spurs have beaten the Thunder 3 times, guys. This is the second time, I believe. They beat them by 20 at home. And then Suns beat the Lakers. I love that. Grizzlies beat the Jazz. And then the Magic beat the Trailblazers. I believe they sweep them because I believe they won a game at home against Portland. Detroit beat Sacramento, and then the Clippers beat the Rockets by 20. I believe Kawhi had 55 points in that game, which is a career high. I could have the wrong game, though. Obviously, no games on Christmas Eve, but there are games on Christmas Day. But Knicks barely beat the Cavs by 2. Cavs have been really disappointing. Spurs blow out the Thunder at their home. They have beaten them 3 times now. Warriors beat the Mavericks by 10. Rockets dominate the Lakers. I love to see that. And probably the best game on Christmas, the Wolves versus the Nuggets in overtime. I love watching, Nuggets versus Wolves. They're just really fun games, really entertaining games. Wolves probably should have won it, but it was a very entertaining game. Great games from Jokic and Anthony Edwards. So yeah, just a really good game. But go to Friday the 26th. Heat beat the Hawks. Wizards smack the Raptors. Hornets beat the Magic. Oh yeah. Celtics blow out the Pacers. Bulls beat the Sixers. The Sixers have lost the Bulls twice now. Suns beat the Pelicans. Grizzlies beat the Bucks. Jazz beat the Pistons by 2. And then Clippers beat the Trailblazers. And then we go to Saturday. Kings beat the Mavericks. The Magic beat the Nuggets by 1. Pretty good game there. Suns beat the Pelicans again. I believe there was a fight that broke out at the end. Heat blow out the Pacers. Does the league not care about defense anymore? I mean, look at these fucking scores. Knicks beat the Hawks by 3. Bucks beat the Bulls. Jazz somehow beat the Spurs. Rockets beat the Cavaliers by 17. Somehow the Timberwolves get their asses whooped by the Nets. Unless if Anthony Edwards wasn't playing, maybe that's why. I don't know how you lose at home against the Nets. Nets are one of the worst teams in the league. All right, and then Thunder beat the Sixers. Raptors beat the Warriors. Wizards beat the Grizzlies. Celtics did lose the Trailblazers. I did not watch this game. Yeah, just a tough loss for the Celtics. Blazers are a fairly competitive team. They've been dealing with some injuries. But Blazers have some nice players. Denny Obvious having a great year. So I'm not too mad at this. I had low expectations for the Celtics this year anyway, but it's not that big of a deal. Clippers somehow blow out the Pistons, so they're starting to play better a little bit. Lakers blow out the Kings. The Kings are horrible. And we'll end off with yesterday's games. Bucks beat the Hornets by 10. Suns beat the Wizards. Heat dominate the Nuggets. Jokic suffered a brutal knee injury. I hope he's okay. Raptors barely beat the Magic by 1. Warriors blow out the Nets as they should. Cavs do beat the Spurs. Knicks barely beat the Pelicans by 5. Timberwolves beat the Bulls. Thunder beat the Hawks. Rockets beat the Pacers. And then the Blazers beat the Mavericks by 3. Well, that is going to be it for the stream. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a happy new year. And I will see you guys next time. Peace out.